This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Give me some space, it's about to go down. Cover your ears, it's about to get loud. It's getting loud. So many years biting my tongue. Now I'm throwing stones, spitting blood. I'm spitting blood.
What's going on, guys? Dan Watson. We are inside of a studio today. We're going to be talking audio in a really cool spot, so this will be fun. I'm here with Tommy Peluso. He is a sound and mixing engineer, and we're going to talk to you about all the most important stuff you need to know about audio, and we'll show you around this place because it's awesome. So Tommy, tell me a little bit about you, what kind of stuff you're doing here.
So I'm a recording mixing engineer, which means usually bands will come in, I'll record their song, and then after the fact, I'll put it all together, I'll mix it all together and make it sound radio ready, I guess you can say, right? I run a website, mixstudios.com, and I get mixes from all over the place. But today we're here to talk about how important audio is in your films.
Yeah, this is something I didn't always do, and that's why I'm here for the expert here, because I still don't do it perfectly, but it is so crucial and important. So let's kind of take a walk around here, show you around some of the cool mics and things like that you need to know to get started.
Had my feel, playing it cool. You won't see me playing a fool. Only so much I can take. You push too hard, I'm gonna break. Yeah, I set a fire to the night.
So here we are in room 1. Pretty sweet space right here.
So this little room is Studio B. This is a great little mixing room, nice and small. You can really fine tune some details in here. There's a lot of expensive gear in here. The most important thing that you want in a small, tight room like this is acoustics, right? So you want to dampen the reflections that are in the room. And one way to do that is something like these acoustic panels here. These panels are basically nothing but a wood frame, fabric, and some insulation. Anybody can build them. You can get the materials from Home Depot, but they do an excellent job at reducing the reflections and letting you hear exactly what's going on. If you don't want to build these panels, you can throw up towels, you can throw up anything that dampens reflections around the room. It's going to help a ton.
So your next step is you're gonna need some decent headphones or some decent speakers. That's not too difficult. I'll actually throw a couple links to some of my favorites in the description. But what are we looking for if we're looking for some decent speakers and headphones?
So any studio monitor will be a great monitor for you to use. The only caveat is that your room needs to sound good, right? So you can buy a $2,000 pair of monitors, and if your room is not acoustically treated, it's not going to tell you what you need to know. If you don't want to build your panels and your room is not acoustically treated, a great pair of headphones like Sennheiser HD600s is what we use in the studio a lot, will do great. Monitors if your room is treated. Headphones if your room is not, because you want your audio to tell you what you need to know in order to fix it, so the listener has a great experience when they're watching your film.
So this is one of my favorite places to be, and you'll see that even in a drum set, we will have like 5 different kind of microphones, all capturing something different. So knowing what kind of microphone you need for whatever you're trying to do is so important. I use a lot of shotgun mics, either on the camera or when I'm recording in the studio. And then also my favorites are like the Rode NTG or the NTG5 if you need something a little bigger. And then also I use a lot of lavalier microphones. Tascam's DR10L is amazing for that. And then also we have mics like these which are really, really solid for doing things like podcasts or voiceovers or anything like that. So there are a lot of different microphones, and kind of knowing what kind of microphone you need and making sure you have the right one are going to be crucial to getting some really awesome audio. Now, before we go on to this next one, you guys need to get over to squarespace.com and build yourself an awesome website. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring this video. You guys know they have a bunch of awesome templates, and it's so crazy easy to get your site set up in a matter of minutes. Check out how easy this thing is. You don't even need custom graphics or product shots to get started. So I want to add a picture for my camera guides right on the front page. I can just click this little image search, type in camera, and bam, I've got all of these amazing images I can use as a thumbnail. Maybe you've got something like a food blog, no problem. Squarespace has you covered here. And just check this out, I can still go in here, change my photo settings, maybe go black and white for something like that, control my crops, custom filters, just anything that you can think of. I can now add my products to sell for an entire storefront. I can create some awesome custom galleries, which I can even have password protected for my clients, which is awesome. And then even for my latest Instagram image, they can be imported to the gallery here or post automatically to the website homepage. Go ahead and get this done, get it started. It's 100% free, no credit card required. If you guys build something awesome, and I know you will, use coupon code LearningCameras for 10% off, and you can go live with that site today. All right, so now we have our tracks recorded, and we're gonna walk through kind of our processes for this and the steps involved, and then we'll show you on the computer how to do this in whatever editor you use. And if you want to, go check out his channel because he'll have some more in-depth tutorials for explaining a lot of this that we probably won't get to as much in this one. But step one on this, right? So we're gonna need to clean up this audio a little bit.
Yeah, we need to get that audio in the computer. We need to start cutting out the clicks and the pops and the sounds that you don't want in there. And then we need to start fading those clips, right? So if you have a clip here and a clip here and empty space in between, you're gonna wanna give those clips a little bit of space and start fading.
The next one is going to be kind of getting into noise reduction. We wanna get rid of some of the noise that you're getting from like fans and computers and all this kind of stuff. You will hear it, especially if you have a good pair of headphones on, you'll start hearing things that you probably didn't even notice when you were in the room.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're gonna look at EQing some of this stuff. So when we do EQs, what are we trying to get?
So when you're EQing dialogue, the most important thing in the film is to hear the dialogue, right? So we use EQ to bring out some of the frequencies that are within the voice to hear it more clearly over the music. And we'll jump into that stuff and show you guys how that works.
Yeah, and our last step for this is going to be compression, and compression is kind of bringing up a lot of those lows and kind of keeping the highs in check as far as the volumes.
Yeah, so when we talk, we generally talk louder because we emphasize things, and we talk lower when we're speaking.
Yeah.
And compression will balance that out. So you're lowering the high peaks and you're highering the low points in the audio.
Yeah, so let's jump into the computer and show you guys how to do this.
The first thing I want to do is I want to listen and see what we have. So here we have a small, short vows wedding clip. Let's take a listen.
Now as it is written, I now leave my mother and father and cleave to you. I vow to always love you no matter what.
The beginning sounds good, but once the music starts picking up, you start to hear the vocal get a little drowned. So the first thing I want to do is remove low frequencies. And what that does is it removes anything that has a really bassy sound, generators in the background or mic rumble. So what you're looking at here is you're looking at a graph, and this curve is cutting out any low frequencies that's below 130 hertz, but it starts a little above it because the curve is nice and wide. Sometimes in music, you don't want something to cut the low frequencies out completely, you just want to reduce them. But in this case, we want to cut them out completely from the vocal. You can move this back and forth, and you can always listen and find the perfect balance for your dialogue, and we'll do that now.
Now as it is written, I now leave my mother and father and cleave to you. I vow to always love you no matter what life throws at us. I vow to respect you as a loving husband from this day forward until we pass.
So as you can hear, as I pushed it up, the dialogue got really thin and almost telephone-like, and you definitely don't want that. You want some body in your dialogue. And then when I moved it too far down, you can start to hear the environment more. You can hear a little rumble in the background. So I found that about 130 removed that rumble, that environment sound. It also gave the dialogue and the voice a little more body, so it felt better. So next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to level out the peaks, and I wanted to bring up what's low. So as you can see in the waveform, the dialogue goes up, comes down, goes up, comes down, bunch of little mountains here. What I want to do is I want to bring these lows a little higher and these highs a little lower so that everything is more equal than not. So what I did here is I grabbed a compressor. So this plugin is from Logic. There's many compressors that you can use. Pretty much every compressor is going to do the same thing. The dials are always the same. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what this compressor is doing.
Now, as it is written, I now leave my mother and father and cleave to you.
So what you're seeing with this needle going back and forth is every time he talks and it surpasses the threshold level that I set, which is 19.5 dB, it's going to activate the compressor and it's going to pull the needle back. The louder he speaks, the further back this needle is going to be pulled because it's reducing the amount of dB. And the ratio right now is 2.2 to 1. And what that means is for every 2.2 dB that your audio goes over the threshold, it's only going to allow 1 dB to actually pass through. Next thing I want to do is I notice that there's lots of noise in between. So you can still hear like a lot of room noise, which means it's the room giving reverb back into the microphone. And the best way to try to reduce that is to either use a deverb or a noise gate. Usually I'll reach for the noise gate first, and if that doesn't work, I'll go for a deverb. Let's see what a noise gate does. Let's open it up.
It is written, I now leave my mother and father and cleave to you. I vow to always love you, no matter what life throws at us.
So what the noise gate is doing is it's reducing the room noise that's coming back into the mic because every time he stops talking, the gate closes. It's kind of like a compressor, but this time when the noise goes below the threshold, it closes the gate and shuts the sound down. And this is good for lots of background noise removal. This is also good for when somebody's speaking and there's static when they're not speaking, and it cleans it up pretty well. And it cuts here and there, but you can always adjust that with these settings. But with the music over it, you probably won't be able to hear all that. Before I put the EQ in, what I want to do is I want to put the instrumental on and see what that sounds like.
Now, as it is written, I now leave my mother and father and cleave to you.
So it's getting easier to hear his voice, but I don't think we're done yet. What I want to do is I want to bring his voice out a bit, and with that, we're going to use EQ. What I did here was I cut some more low frequencies. Even though I did it here, I still like to do it. It doesn't matter if you do it 3 or 4 times, you can be redundant as long as the sound still sounds good. So what I did was I gave him a little more body in his vocal, just a little bit right here at 280 with a wide Q, as opposed to a very short Q, which would only be boosting just a few frequencies. But this wide Q is going to get this whole band. And then what I did was I brought up his voice in the 2,000, 2,500 to 3,000 range. That's usually where the human voice register lies in the frequency range. So if you ever need to boost someone's voice, that's a good frequency range to start at. So now what I want to do, I want to go and EQ the music. And look what I did here. In the same range that I boosted the voice, I actually subtracted from the music. And the reason I did that is because I want the voice to cut through in the 2,500 to 3,000 range, and I want the music to duck in that range. That way, the voice has priority over the music in those frequencies. I'm going to disable it, and I'm going to show you what the difference is.
I vow to respect you as a loving husband from this day forward until we pass. I vow to work hard for our family and for our future, and I vow to always end every day with I love you and a kiss.
Now you can hear that when I enable the plugin, the music kind of moves to the background and the voice moves completely to the foreground. You know that the voice is the main attraction here. And that is some basic treatment to get the dialogue out in front and the music behind it. Now let's hear what the before and after of all the plugins removed sounds like.
I vow to always love you no matter what life throws at us. No matter what life throws at us. I vow to respect you as a loving husband from this day forward until we pass.
Even though it sounds better, there's still some things that I want to do. I want to take those sniffles and I want to reduce them because they're very loud. One way to do that is what we call automation. So what I want to do is I want to reduce that sniffle. So I want to put a point here. I want to put a point here. I want to put a point here and here. And what this is going to allow me to do is bring down just the sniffle. Same with this one. Let's put a point here, 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 and here. Bring it down. And I think that'll do it for now. I'll have some more in-depth videos on all of these topics, and we'll leave a link in the description below so you can check those out.
All right, guys, so hopefully that was really helpful there. Thank you to Vanquish Studios for letting us film in here. We need to come down here a lot more. So please like, subscribe, go check out his channel for a bunch of more tutorials, and hopefully we'll do this kind of stuff a whole lot more.
Definitely.
Thanks, Az.